Decide to come alive. Take away all the hurt inside, and this time I'm getting right. Decide to live and not just survive. Come and take the things I need from life, and this time I'm getting right. Is it in my soul? Is it in my soul? Is it in my soul now? To decide to come alive. Take away all the hurt inside, and this time I'm getting right. Decide to live and not just survive. Come and get the things I get behind, and this time I'm getting right.
Good evening, B's, G's, NB's, Peens, Vagines, and in-betweens. I come to you as always as Charles, otherwise known as CPO, otherwise known as CP, otherwise known as the Dexter guy for most of September. And that's going to continue for a little bit. However, there's coverage that I'm doing remotely for the upcoming Fantastic Fest, which is in Austin, Texas, in the middle/end of September, where some international films will be premiering. So I've already started doing some sort of work in preparing for that and setting up interviews and things like that. So if I'm not doing Dexter-related content, you're probably going to see a lot of coverage or things related to plugging or interviewing people who have their films premiering at Fantastic Fest in just a few days. But I do continue to do Dexter content. There's a ranking video that I've recorded. I kind of want to whittle it down and have it be something around, if not less than half an hour. And then there's other things. I know Cody's doing a bunch of like tier lists, and I'm just piggybacking whatever it is that he's doing to the extent that I'm just outright stealing. Borrowing and saying thank you to whatever tiers that he has set up, and ranking villains, characters. I think was one of them. He sent me a link where it was like 200 characters. Some of them with my memory. I know a bunch of the faces, but I don't know all of them. So I don't know what I'm going to do in regards to the Resurrection season, because I do have that pseudo long form stuff that I'm doing. This season 5 and 6. The season 5 video is called The Beginning of the End, and the season 6 video is called Doomsday. I was in the middle of preparing the season 7 video and kind of got distracted. The file is all there. The notes and the script work is there. I just need to go back to it. So I don't know how much devotion I want to give, wholeheartedly to any one thing. Like the long form stuff and discussing the subtext, the subject matter, the character growth, the themes, all of that stuff is kind of reserved for the long form stuff. The rankings, I just kind of want to give you a fresh idea of how I feel. Although it's come to my attention that on TikTok, things that I would have considered obvious, I'm not trying to say this to sound like a fucking smartass, but there are things on TikTok that I would have assumed that were pretty obvious, like the name of the boat on Resurrection at the end was The Getaway. And, that's not the first time Dexter has done something like that. But the Easter eggs, hey, did you guys know that this is a thing in Dexter? Like, that's a relatively strong performing bit of content there. And I may be tempted for the sake of advancing myself in broaching that subject and discussing things that maybe aren't so obvious. We'll see how that goes. I don't know how much of that I would like to do, just pointing at things and saying, huh? Pretty smart double entendre. The writers are witty, isn't it? Anyway, see you next week for another 6-second video about a thing that, if you pause it right, you'll notice that there's a bit more to it than just car being driven. But what we're doing today is responding/reacting to the comment section from the spoiler stream from Monday night. It's Sunday night. I did with Cody. Cody, who is currently in New York. I live in a sick cycle. I'll tell you that much. I am not in New York, and Cody's in New York. So it only makes sense that whenever Cody goes to England, I will not be in England. He'll probably go to Denmark when I'm not there. So unfortunately, I wish him the best. I hope he eats the right pizza when he's there. And he's not here, but he's experiencing my city without me, and it stings a little bit. Sean says, you going to Austin sounds fun. Dexter or Lost, you had to pick a favorite. I'm not going to Austin. I'm doing remote coverage. That's why technically I'm working now, getting some promotional materials and interviews done. I am not going to Austin. I'll be running remote parallel coverage. So I'm not going to Austin. Dexter or Lost, it's hard because there's a hell of a lot more Dexter than there is Lost. For the sake of Lost being consistent, it's only 6 seasons. Dexter's on 11 now. I think Lost is more consistent, for whatever that's worth. There are a hell of a lot more episodes of Dexter, and it's a bit less consistent. If that makes you feel any better, no one visits where I live. It does make me feel a little bit better. Thank you. Yay, a stream. We're not doing that. We are not. We're talking about fiction. We're talking about nonsense. Please, yes, I'm aware. I'm aware of what's happening. This is not meant to be any of that. We're going to be talking about a silly fictional show about silly fictional characters. That's all we're talking about. Dub Z, what's up? When do you think season 2 of Dexter Resurrection could happen? I predict season 2 will come out July 2026. Gives them time to film and stuff after getting script done. Yeah, I would imagine it'll be in the calendar year of 2026. They'll probably film the earliest January of 26, which they did this past season. They started filming January of 25, finished filming in June of 25, and the season was ready in July of 25. If it's not ready for July of 26, they'll probably get it done for the October season of television. I would imagine it's going to be 2026. There's nothing really holding them up, just the approval. From what I understand, there's scripts ready. They just need approval from their new bosses on the budget. And considering how much money they spent on needle drops, I think the first thing they'll tell them to stop is, all right, yeah, you're approved, but maybe half as many songs, please. But yeah, I think it'll happen within. It's not like Sopranos era HBO or Netflix era Stranger Things, which is current era Stranger Things. I think Showtime's pretty on the ball about getting stuff out there. So I don't think, at most, it'll be a 15-month wait from the start of Resurrection. So October, the latest, October of 2026. I had squealing tires. Cody in New York does not compute. Tell me about it. As the New Yorker who isn't in, like, I wanted to be there when Cody experienced his first New York slice. And, well, I won't be. So there's that. There's an Easter egg to Brian Moser in episode 9 when Batista is strapped to the table, like how Deb was Prater gives Dex the same deal that Brian gave Dexter, both great Easter eggs. The problem that I have, and I kind of, this is why I'm less and less enthusiastic about social media. I knew that the actor was going to be somewhere in this season because the actor posted something from the dressing room on the set of Dexter Resurrection. And around episode 7 or 8, in the back of my head, I was like, we haven't seen Brian yet. And I know for a fact this guy was on set and had, wardrobe. So unless they cut that scene, which they don't they don't do it very often at all for television. They everything they shoot, they usually put it on the television. Having known that kind of bummed me out because the reveal wasn't as special as it should have been. And then also there was someone who watched the Russian link or the Russian leak, and in my shorts feed, someone like the freeze frame of Brian in that episode. I was like, fuck. I was trying to avoid this, and YouTube said, "Here, have algorithm junk." So yeah, no matter how much you try to avoid things, especially if you're following these actors on social media, it's very hard to avoid some of these things. Doc, so the comment section of the spoiler stream from Sunday night will be reacting and conversing with that. The coffee's still a little bit too hot. I honestly feel like it made sense for Doak to appear to Dexter while he was trapped in the vault, as well as considering the blood slides were in the vault and Dexter framed Doak's. Yeah, at a certain point, the ghost thing, those are all Dexter's visions. They're like thematic shortcut, which is fine. The fact that they've been consistent in showing the room that Dexter is speaking to nobody is kind of important to me because they're all like Dexter's visions. I mean, essentially, with that established that way, you can have ghosts of whoever. They don't necessarily need to be ghosts. They could be alive and just Dexter's visions. It's shorthand. It's like when a character goes to therapy. It's a shortcut way of doing exposition and having us hear their feelings as told to a doctor. And when it's not The Sopranos, it feels a little wince-worthy. Even sometimes when it is Sopranos. Ugly Freak, $4.99 super chat. Thank you. This is probably an awful ignorant take, but part of me was thinking that Harrison would have easily grabbed that gun from Prater if he wanted to. Fair. That's fair. But he needed to show that protection that we called. Cyrus says, I think the ghost thing was more fan service than anything, since people loved Rudy so much. So not surprised in Resurrection they wanted a sort of shock and reveal. Yeah, the two things, if the creative was grooming us for anything with Original Sin, it was Angel and Brian. Those are two relationships that they really wanted to make sure that we were aware that those were important. Kind of retconning some of the things that Dexter learned, and he was with Angel from the beginning, as far as Original Sin says. Okay, and then retconning the fact that Brian's been following Dexter and was a part of that household as young as he was. Not my favorite thing in the world, but Yeah, Brian. I know what you meant when you said Rudy. Yeah, Rudy Cooper, whatever the fuck his name is. Yeah, Brian Moser. Um, so, yeah, I'm gonna have to stop and take a swig of my very way too hot coffee every now and again. But it should be over here. It is. Um, Dexter giving Wallace the Ripper file reminded me of when he let NYPD get Mia. His character is changing in how he views justice. Um, yeah, I would argue that maybe you're doing a little bit of homework for the show because Mia, it wasn't exclusively letting Mia get justice. He also framed her for Harrison's with the watch thing. So um, it doesn't get full credit from me, especially considering he managed to take something like that and have it be convenient, which is something that I get very frustrated with Dexter, that they have difficult decisions to make and then they find the most convenient way out. Um, but and the other thing is, I think I said this during the stream. I think the fact that Dexter knows that Wallace is like teaching school, having these TED Talks at colleges about the New York Ripper, kind of lets him on to the fact that it's an active case that they're chasing. So maybe not one that he wants to, get entangled with. Um, Maybe he left the Ripper file there to refocus Claudette's efforts onto the Ripper and off him and Harrison. They never traced the watch back to Harrison, either by the hotel manager or the place it was bought for repair. I wonder the same. I wonder if the same dead end will happen when the phone records between Batista's phone and calling Harrison around the same time he was killed. I 100% agree with you that there are many parallels with Breaking Bad. The people saying otherwise don't know Breaking Bad well enough to notice it. Oh, there's multiple parallels to Breaking Bad. And if anything, the fact that those two series ended at the same time gives them all the, because I know when those two season finales or series finales, when they were playing together, they both aired at the same time. I would watch the Dexter one live because there was no commercials, and then watch Breaking Bad on DVR because it had commercials. It was on AMC, and man, Breaking Bad was killing it, and Dexter season 8 was not. There are Dexter factions of Dexter fans. I'll name a couple. They want Dexter to last forever, 30 seasons, killing serial killers every year, no stakes. Wants a well-written show where Dexter's revealed to the world as the Bay Harbor Butcher by the end, probably in prison. People that hate Dexter not killing innocent people since he is consistently being bailed out by the writers. 4 people who prefer Dexter get bailed out by the writers so you can keep rooting for him. This needs to be discussed more. Every Dexter fan is extremely different. I don't see. I'm some sort of hybrid. I definitely don't want Dexter to be bailed out by the writers, but I think you could blend 1, 2, and 3 here. If you have Dexter pay for things, it can last forever. I just want the things that happen to matter. Like, how often can someone get away with just performing the things that he's doing? 30 years is a lot. How many characters around him need to go down for him, like, some repercussions to start happening? A well-written show, if it's 30 seasons, well-written is well-written. Some people enjoy The Simpsons. Some people think all 40 seasons of The Simpsons are great. I have checked out on The Simpsons a very long time ago, but and I don't know. I don't hate Dexter not killing innocent people. That adds conflict. So I understand the essence of what's trying to be said here. I don't entirely agree with it. I think there are a couple of different ways that Dexter fans want things to play out, and I think some of them that just don't really put much weight into things. They just think he's a badass character. I think there's something of a difference there. Um, shit, I forgot the name of the channel. There's a channel that they just released a Dexter Resurrection retrospective, and it's the guy who has yellow backgrounds for his thumbnails. Um, was kind of mid to okay on it, and I think I commented on it. I was like, "Uh, uh, good video. Some cute little jokes in there too." But I think I really don't want to become this person, but I think there are a bunch of Dexter content creators that want to swill, you know, whodunit farming, and some of those are like AI, which is so frustrating. Like if you're going to swill content, at least at least put human effort into it. Don't go on camera, but just talk into a microphone. Um, I don't know, and the fact that it's all, I mean, there's an audience for it. There's a bunch of people that just give me more, 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 more. Like the Dexter, no, excuse me, the blessing is the New York Ripper thing. Like why? And like the fact that social media Dexter made a thing out of New York Ripper, and it ends up being nothing. So like people that follow that and get amped up by that are like bummed out that they don't really, who the hell's Framped? What is that? You get all worked up about these possibilities, and like that's what like the driving force is. Meanwhile, the storylines were pretty strong. I'm of the mindset that because the Dexter Angel storyline was strong enough, the Dexter Prater storyline was strong enough, the New York Ripper stuff really didn't matter. Um, and I feel bad that people who want some sort of payoff with the New York Ripper are kind of missing some other strong moments there. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. And you could tell that them putting a dancing scene in the finale. It's just playing to the TikTok audience, and it's fine. As much as I've said numerous times that I rolled my eyes. If it wasn't in the show, I wouldn't grade it any differently. So it's nothing devastating in any positive or negative way. It's just one of those things where it's like, did you have to? Um, I think Leon acted that way because it brought him back to the trauma of being trapped. Um, I don't know about that. He was in a car accident. I love the fact that there's such diversity in the Dexter fandom that certain things speak to people in different ways. I'll admit I disagree with some of those takes rather extremely. There are some things that are said like, "Oh, this is what this means," and I don't see that at all. I mean, if it helps the story for you, I'm glad for you. Like that's awesome, but not for a second did I think, "Oh, Prater is like whimpering because this is the way he was in the car accident." Because I don't know, the fact that he was like mesmerized and like kind of turned on after just shooting Angel. I don't know. There's not enough information there for me to be like, yeah, that makes sense. Um, Angel didn't have to go to Dexter's throat immediately after being let loose. Angel should have read the room. Angel kind of caused his own death. It was two against one and a half people. Hey, hey. People said the same about Tony Soprano being because he was such a beloved character that the hyper fans had to justify why they enjoyed him and claim he was int evil by the end of that show. It's like, are you kidding me, dude? That was a monster. A compelling character for sure, but he was a villain by the finale. It's crazy how Oz Cobb committed more sadistic murder in the last episode of The Penguin than Dexter in his entire run. The showrunners are clearly afraid to make Dexter unsympathetic, but that should have been his arc throughout the original series, given how dark of a character he is. I mean, he's a literal serial killer. Whoa, what happened? It just seems like a certain portion of the fan base just wants Dexter taking out killers every season, rinse and repeat, and back to status quo until Michael C. Hall physically can't do it anymore, when that's not good storytelling. That's just wish fulfillment because you want more of something you enjoy. The best pieces of media have an ending that's satisfying. The only way Dexter should get a walk off into the sunset type send off if it's framed as evil one and he stopped everyone in his path, regardless of if they were innocent or guilty. Yeah, that's kind of the long and short of when I say it needs to matter. Like, if Dexter gets away with things, it needs to feel, I don't know, like unjust. You know, even chasing, just this vigilante justice things, you cannot be flawless in your execution of those things. That there is innocence that's going to be lost in that. Again, you ask anyone, any screenwriting class or teacher or anything, they're going to tell you that conflict is the key to great fiction. Conflict, something you don't expect, or something that's dramatic and is challenging. Knowing that he's going to come out on top every time, or at this point, knowing that something challenging is going to happen, but then someone else is going to take care of it at some point, that stops being rewarding. And there's a significant chunk of us at this point where we're like, yeah, okay, you've done the get out of jail free card thing too many times now. Stop going back to that. Well, either that or don't present the possibility of something serious happening where normal thinking people would be like, hey, this is awfully convenient that you're always around all of this negative shit. The staying alive dance was extremely cheesy, but I think it worked as a subversion of our expectations of the character and as a payoff to the bit. It humanized Wallace for me a bit, even if it was corny. The Batista ringtone I didn't find funny either because I felt episode 9 was the worst episode and I didn't think it hit how it should have emotionally. Generally, the writing and tone has improved greatly in Resurrections, so that's great to see. They let Michael C. Hall's acting really shine this season, and he's fantastic throughout. So is Harrison and the supporting cast. That scene on the boat hit me in the member berries in all the best ways. I would agree with that. Overall, though, the great season, and I really enjoyed it. Excited for more to come. I remember watching Cody's videos about New Blood. What a 180 since then. Indeed. I think I replied about the payoff line. Yeah, I did. I said, I don't think it's a payoff. That was a running gag. There was no need to pay off or a subversion. But again, it isn't something devastating in any way to the quality of the episode or the season. Just shiny keys to dangle at the TikTok crowd. I totally understand. For me, it was character development and gave her a moment to be silly. Enjoyed watching your guys discuss this season. Cheers. They waited a very long time to let her be cheesy. Whoa. This is a long one. Holy smokes. All right, I'm drinking first. Cody, CP, love hearing you guys talk about Dexter in such detail and with such passion. So I decided to write here my personal theories about where I think the show is going. I'd be really glad if you could read it and maybe mention it, discuss it in a future Dexter Live. Your wish is my command. So here's a theory for Dexter Resurrection is headed and how they could possibly end the series by taking on the only Dexter ending plot concept I haven't touched yet, besides disappearing into exile or killing him. Endings the writer's room most likely won't repeat. After episode 10, the news is out there. Prater killed Angel Batista. When Quinn goes to New York, he can't avoid running into the same question. Who is this Prater guy? How did Angel know him? How are they connected? This will lead Quinn to search through Angel's belongings. And after picking up Batista's phone, he'll see three things. The photos Angel took of Dexter and Prater outside the restaurant in episode 9. Angel's audio recordings of himself pursuing Dexter and voicing his suspicions about him being the Bay Harbor Butcher. 3, the calls from Angel's phone to Harrison. Do we know that the phone is there? Do we know that Angel's phone was left with his body? Because isn't there a chance that Dexter took Angel's phone with him? When's the last time we legitimately see the phone being used? I know it dies. I don't know if we know for sure that the phone is with Angel, because Dexter was using it. The same phone, once Dexter's saving grace that kept him from being caught, will now be the very thing that triggers his downfall in a domino effect. Quinn, after putting all this evidence together and recalling his long-held suspicions from the original series, will begin a manhunt for Dexter, since he's now in charge of the station as a lieutenant. Further down the line, maybe season 3 or 4, Miami Metro will officially reveal Dexter's identity on national TV, making him a fugitive. Quinn will lead the case, driven both by duty and personal revenge for Angel Batista. This makes perfect sense, since Quinn has always been a morally gray cop, the imperfect one who ends up being the only one to actually catch Dexter. Angel was the heart of gold who couldn't bring him down, but his death becomes the perfect motivator for Quinn to succeed. I can totally see the writers picking up this type of character traits, details to determine the future of the show in a more poetic way. If we can't get the best possible showdown, Batista versus Dexter, then I'm betting on the second best, Quinn and law enforcement versus Dexter. The second best would be a better shot at getting Harrison versus Dexter, or perhaps Cody or Astor, or a child of one of Dexter's victims, and making that a three-headed monster between Dexter, Harrison, and insert child of Dexter victim here. I don't think it's just 2. I believe the final season of Resurrection will show the downfall of Dexter, a fugitive on the run from a national manhunt, until he eventually gets caught. If written well, they have the chance to craft something really, really fucking cool. An epic, finale-worthy ending. Please let me know your thoughts on this. Thank you for reading this, all of this. It's intriguing. I don't know if I give the current slate of writers that much credit. As backhanded and shitty as it is to say that. For as much as the writing was strong this year, it was also rather weak. I don't think in the quality of writing, they've come close to the first 4 seasons just yet. And if you want to take season 3 out of there, I won't fight you for it. Seasons 1, 2, and 4 are very strong. Even when they're not good, even when there's television shit that they have to just put on the screen, it's not that bad. And it kind of fits the Miami thing because it's very vibrant and flat, and the humor style fits that Miami setting a bit more. But I don't know tonally if they've towed the line perfectly in Resurrection, but good enough. I just don't trust them because they did it a couple of times. They introduced things that could have been fantastic, and then when it came to choosing something that ended up being dramatic and difficult, they took the easy way out, and the thing that isn't rewarding at all. Like it, having Angel go out in episode 9, and then not really have much anything in episode 10 as far as reverberations of Angel dying is weird. It's just weird. I don't understand why you wouldn't just save Angel going down until episode 10. I don't. They don't have my faith wholeheartedly just yet, but they've done well. I think I haven't rewatched the series through just yet, but I feel a lot of the fan service shit, a lot of the member berries, a lot of featuring ghost premonitions that just really are just there to make us feel good inside. I think once you get past all of that, there's too much. There's too much like shiny glitter that they're expecting us to forgive, and oh well, all of these things that I enjoy, there's all this nostalgia bait, so the bad stuff isn't that bad. I'm curious to see just how much, after having everything settle and watching it through, how I feel about it. Because even in the process, I was just like, it's good. I could do without all the songs and shit and all of the, the member berries and, there are times where it feels fan servicey. There's times where it feels like fan fiction. And there's times where it feels like it's actually progressing. And I think a lot of people's responses and defenses of choices being made, I don't want to give writers that much room, because I don't think they've earned that extent of us connecting the dots for them, because they're not really I don't just showing us shit that we know and love. That's not great moving forward. Oh yeah, I remember that thing. What does that do for this story now? That would have been brilliant. Angel Dexter locked in a vault. Yes. Oh, I can't believe he's gone. Enjoying the club. I wouldn't call the finale predictable. I didn't predict it was going to be so safe. Yeah. Yeah. All right. That's a fair take. Overall, 4 out of 5 overall creative, kept me wanting to see what happens each week. Didn't like them killing Batista and wanted to see him bring down Dexter at the end. Hey, look, another Dexter fan that wants to see Dexter go down, and by the hands of someone whose show it's not named after. I didn't agree with Scott, who he said fans wouldn't like us to see Cat and Mouse in season 2. I agree with that. Finale was safe and underwhelming. Was hoping for a twist, since Clyde and Scott said they'd have a 3-season arc planned. But I'm hopeful they will stick the landing and make it feel earned. Yeah. Angela has no basis for ever suspecting Dexter was a Bay Harbor butcher. Yeah, don't get me started on New Blood. I just want to put it out there. My immediate thought at the end of Dexter is the New York Ripper. He left behind the file in the same way he framed Dokes while taking other folders. The timeline lines up. After Deb's death, he was shattered. He loved Hannah and Harrison deeply, but he never went back to them. Yes, I know what the letter said, but to me, that only shows how distraught, angry, and broken he truly was at the time that he did not go to them. That's why I think this remains a real possibility. There are other pieces that fed into this theory for me as well. Stop. Like, I don't know if you're trolling or what, but no. Dexter was never the New York Ripper, because what we know about Dexter, from what they've shown us, is he's very methodical, with the exception of one kill. And that was out of rage. New York Ripper did things very sloppily, and Prater has his weapon. So Prater had spoken to him at some point and arranged getting the weapon. I don't know how this opinion gets fostered, and I don't know, I just want to put it out there. Like, what have you been cooking up that makes you think Dexter is a New York Ripper? Because he was in Miami and then he was in upstate New York, upstate like near Buffalo. Um, this is so far fetched. It's like saying Dexter got JFK. Like what are you talking about? And what about the show has made you think that? This is part of that, YouTuber. I have a theory on the whodunit shit thing run amok. There's no reason to think Dexter is the New York Ripper. There's none. There's none. Especially in episode 7, 8. It might be 7, where he goes to the college thing and they have like the pictures and the audio. The audio is not him. Like I don't know what you're holding on to. Like why? Like I hope this is a troll because this is a wild take. A wild take. It's a fictional show, and you're living in a fictional fantasy world if you think that's even remotely close. Yes, Snake S. I love these chats with you too, as I do. Um, Sometimes the writers pander too much to the fanboys and fangirls who see Dexter as a perfect flawless vigilante hero and never want him to be caught, and always get away with it. They think everything he does is justified, even though most of it isn't, and dismiss innocents he kills or who he gets killed as acceptable collateral damage with excuses like he saved more people than he's killed because they still don't get that he doesn't kill to save people. Their black and white view is he kills killers, therefore he's good, and can't think beyond that. He'd be more heroic if he killed to save innocence, but ultimately he kills because he enjoys it, and he'd kill anyone innocent or guilty and only follows the code because it draws less attention to him. Yeah. There are, in the beginning, the narrative was made that because these killers have been let out into society, that the justice system failed. Like that was his cope for why he was doing it. But at a certain point in the show, he just like cuts in, like he's like stealing files from what the fuck. He's intervening on things that like they're he's very selfish about what he does. At Miami Metro, he's like making sure that he gets the files and shit, and he does his own detective work when these killers haven't been tried or anything just yet. So the reasoning behind why he does some of those things kind of falls on its face in the later seasons, even the early later seasons. He's selfish. He's addicted to it. A major point of this season is Dexter killing to save people. In the case of Mia, he even chose not to kill in order to save. Again, he framed Mia for Harrison's watch thing. So no points awarded if there's a yeah but attached to it. The show opens with multiple Dexter villains, including Dokes, telling Dexter that they were wrong about him. No, what Dokes tells him is there's a amount of good in him, and that there is some good in Dexter. One of the last lines of the show is can it be both, in reference to whether Dexter kills for justice or to feed his urge. I would also argue it has been a part of Dexter since the beginning, and it's people who say otherwise who have never gotten the character. The code itself is always a sign of Dexter having some hidden level of morality. It may have been created for Harry or Vogel, yuck. Ugh. But after Harry died, what reason did Dexter have to keep following it if not having some level of a moral compass to keep doing it? The code was so that he could keep doing it. From the beginning, he wanted to feed his urges in the most moral way possible. This is even brought up between Dokes and Dexter in the cabin in season 2 when Dokes realizes Dexter operates on some sort of code. No, the code is just a hit list and an excuse for Dexter to kill. It's not a moral code and has no sense of justice. Resurrection's version of Dokes only exists in Dexter's mind, so him saying there is good in you, Morgan, is Dexter being biased towards himself. The real Dokes would never have said that. Dokes also wasn't a villain since he was trying to catch a serial killer, who is also morally gray, too. um, the boat thing got me on first watch. I was like, the fuck? He better not keep that. I could see him using it to paint the picture of Prater's escape / fleeing his crime. I don't think like that's Dexter's. That's another thing. I don't think like that's Dexter's slice of life moving forward. Someone else said that Dexter's going to be a blood slide analyst for NYPD now. Why? What are you talking about? Like this is what happens when you do way too much fan service and show people things that they know and things that they like. They automatically think, oh, everything moving forward needs to bring back to a thing that I originally enjoyed about this show, and we can't move forward with anything. Why would he be a blood spatter analyst at the NYPD? Like, because he's officially alive now? That doesn't make any sense. And this boat thing, it's just, it was a cap tip. It was a tip of the cap to, previous things. I loved it. Don't get me wrong. Having Dexter dump bodies out of a ginormous yacht with the Statue of Liberty in the background. Awesome. You can criticize me for loving it the way I would criticize someone for liking the dance scene. Guilty. Guilty as charged, but I really don't want that to be anything else moving forward. I don't want Dexter to be, dumping bodies out of a fucking billionaire's yacht. There are things that when you do member berries and, these fan service moments, they're supposed to just be that. They're not supposed to be these moments that like recenter the character to do the thing that you know and love them for, except in new environment. The thing that you know and love them for is eliminating bad guys. Every single thing around what we know about Dexter from 20 years ago doesn't need to be like reacclimated in the current setup. It's very frustrating. And you like with all due respect, I'm being sincere. We could disagree with this. That's fine. That's not for me to say. If they were to have the boat moving forward, I would need you to explain it a bit more. If that makes you feel good, fine. I would need some further explanation as to why he's using that. If Dexter were to be a blood slide analyst for NYPD, I need more explaining for that. I can be won over. True story, I fucking hated. I hated the idea of, Fight Club for serial killers, the whole Prater thing. I did not like it in the trailer. And the fact that it wasn't an invitation to Dexter, the fact that he took somebody out and that was the way he got into that group was, I don't know why, but that was all I needed. And it was enough for me. And I was able to enjoy it a bit after that. Sometimes just explaining something, and it doesn't need to be like a 4-episode arc. We explain something, just doing a little work, filling things out is all you need. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to say everything needs to be black and white moving forward and he has to do things from the fucking sewers. And like, I'm not saying things need to be completely different, but if you're going to lean on past stuff, you've got to, recenter that. It's got to make sense for me because the dude faked his death and was on the run and changed his name and whatever. Suddenly he's gonna be able to get a job with a 10-year gap in things. Explain that. But there are times where some of these theories just get wild, so wild. If they go random guy on the Ripper, some names that come to mind are Jason Bateman, Lawrence Fishburne. Lawrence Fishburne's getting up there. Giancarlo Esposito, Jeffrey Wright, Bobby Cannavale, Michael Shannon. Those are really strong names. Adam. The 3 seasons plan makes sense. Clyde Phillips and the writing staff initially mapped out a story for 3 seasons of Dexter Resurrection with potentially more deepening, depending on the interest of actor Michael C. Hall and network approval. While there is no official confirmation of future seasons beyond the current one, there are reports that the show has already been renewed for a 3rd season. No, they wouldn't renew the 3rd season before the 2nd one. The writers have developed a 3-season arc for the show, but there's no there's flexibility to continue beyond that if the conditions are right. Now, if you think about like The Simpsons. Oh wait, no, animation is different. Because you need to plan years in advance. Television shows, they don't do things like that. Christian Bale signed a 3-picture contract for a Terminator thing. That doesn't mean anything. There was one Terminator movie with Christian Bale in it. Just because he signed a 3-picture contract means nothing. They have not approved the budget for season 2 yet. Dexter New Blood, Dexter Original Sin, and Dexter Resurrection has far outperformed anything in the first 8 seasons. You would think there's no reason if you were with Showtime, you would give a blank check to the showrunners, but they haven't done that yet. So it's certainly possible that something wasn't discussed, but they're not cutting checks for season 3 before season 2 is done. You never know what happens during season 2. What if, God forbid, someone gets sick and Michael C. Hall isn't healthy or whatever, the writers aren't healthy. I guess the writers you can kind of work around. But if some major element of that show can't perform in the 3rd season, maybe they don't do it. It's great that they're talking about 3 seasons. It's great to Lost. Part of, I think it was during season 3 or 4, the writers wanted to make sure that they had an ending in sight, and they worked that out. And it's wild that they thought of the story as more important than money, which is wild. We could still be having Lost seasons right now if the writers were just yeah, all right, fuck the story, we'll just keep cashing paychecks. Next season should be the New York Ripper, and what should be the 3rd and final season of Resurrection is Dexter's downfall. 12 seasons in totality is more than enough for Dexter. At least land the plane and don't milk it for another decade like The Walking Dead. That's what I'm afraid of. I think at the longest, you think how many greats before this chunk of prequels and sidequels and shit. There was 8 seasons of Dexter. How many were great? 4? If you want to argue that the 3rd season was strong. 4. Half out of 8. So being very favorable, at longest, this Resurrection arc should be 5 seasons. At the longest. 3 seems nice. Maybe 4 if they plan things a certain way, and I liked the idea of Angel tracking Dexter for at least 2 years. You think about it. Dokes tracked Dexter for a season and a half. He got wind of Dexter being suspicious at the end of season 1, and a full season of Dokes being on his tail. I think you can have someone, a detective or something, trailing Dexter for at least 2 seasons. But I don't. I apologize to those of you in chat. I've been kind of ignoring that at the moment. What makes the New York Ripper thing important? Why is that important? What about what we know about New York Ripper now makes it urgent or important moving forward? Because for the life of me, there's no sort of connection to Dexter. Why does Dexter Resurrection season 2 need to be New York Ripper? I'm genuinely asking here because there's, other than like him helping Wallace, there's nothing that the show has given us. Again, the show, not your favorite TikToks or fucking YouTube Dexter slop content. What has the show given us about the New York Ripper that makes you think, oh yeah, we need this character more? Paul says 7 is underrated. Ray Stevenson was great in that. Rest in peace. Indeed. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7 were great to me. You know what? I'll meet you halfway. I'll swap 3 out with 7. I'm still saying half. I think 6 is the absolute max they should go for. I think 6 is kind of even stretching it. New York Ripper is only important for Claudette's character, mainly because it got her in a room with Dex and Harrison to set Harrison on the law enforcement path. I agree with that. Quinn getting Dexter won't have the same impact since he always thought something was up with Dexter. Angel was a perfect guy because it was his actual friend. Yep. Or Deb. They keep wasting their primo Dexter going down characters, these parallels to take Dexter down. They keep kind of wasting these characters. I mean, it could be a character we haven't met yet. I think the thing that connects the New York Ripper to Angel and Wallace is the fact that Angel's chasing the Bay Harbor Butcher, and he makes a point to literally point at Wallace's board and say, isn't there that case, that the one that got away? I think Wallace having the New York Ripper case sealed up, as Angel is the one that essentially is the connective tissue for Wallace to find who the New York Ripper is. Wallace, in tribute, will then pick up where he left off. Listen, I don't love it at its face, but I think there's work to be done where you can get me behind the idea of Wallace is the one that takes Dexter down as a tribute to Angel. Cyrus says, didn't the show sort of resolve that Quinn is just kind of okay with Dexter killing? Sort of. On multiple occasions. The I owe you one after season 5, and then the looked like self-defense to me in season 8. Morally gray characters doing morally gray things. They could leave Quinn out of this from here on. I'd rather this be more of its own thing going forward. It'll be Resurrection season 2. They aren't season 9 and 10 of Dexter. It should have its own identity. I agree with that. I rather agree with that a lot. All right. So no one can tell me why New York Ripper is important. So I've given you enough time, and no one's chomping at the bit to explain. Long comments. The argument that the first episode of Resurrection is fan servicey is totally fair, but given how good this season was writing-wise, and the fact that the writers have said they have at least 3 seasons mapped up, planned for the series, I believe the opening ghost stuff was there as a sort of mission statement for the series. Hey, I know New Blood got a lot of flack for not including any Miami Metro character closure, so here, trust us on this past closure is coming. Enjoy the ride. Yeah, but why would you have Brian in the finale? And I don't like hearing because that's his table. I'm sorry, ghosts just live near their fucking physical items. That's not it. So what the fuck was Brian doing in season 6? Like, I don't like that linking of, well, Brian's there because that's his kill table. Oh, okay, well, sure. That's the stuff that I get confused with, where the writers don't have to work that hard if you're going to connect things just by like sight gags. What was I saying? Plus, all of the ghosts talking about Dexter trying to be normal, combined with Dexter's justice speech to Prater and his ending monologue, I think it's clear his character evolving will be his main focus, no longer trying to be normal. He has Harrison to be completely honest about his life and blessing and his family, as unnecessary as they sometimes are, as a reminder of the type of people he's serving his justice for in the first place. So the reason Dexter went after the people that are close to blessing is because the guy was using Dexter's name. Never forget why Dexter got started. He wasn't like, oh, wow, this Uber driver is a really great guy. I wonder if he's got a great family at home. It started with, that guy's using my name. That's how it started. So, again, you're giving way too much credit. Listen, it's not the worst shit ever as far as writing. It's good, yes, but I don't think it's that layered and meaty. I think ultimately I'm just spitballing. He's letting go, or at least loosening the grip on Rule 1 of the code, and instead focusing much further on Rule 2, being Rule 2 driven by the past season's collateral damage, and now Batista's death weighing heavy on his conscience. If Rule 2 and Batista's death weighed heavy on his conscience, wouldn't he just make sure that Prater paid for his crimes and, not kill him himself with hundreds of cops 2 floors above him? He talks about becoming more human, and I think that ties into loosening the don't get caught rule. He'll let more people in being more himself instead of blending in 1000% of the time. And through that clearer humanity, it will be his downfall when old characters like Quinn come to New York City. I got a little off topic, but that was a fun thought. Obviously, I don't know how or why the downfall happened, but I like the idea of a more happy and fulfilled Dexter feels in who he is, and his humanity is what, through a mix of both indirect and directly, lead to his getting caught. Unfortunately, Batista can't do it now, but the quality has made me trust the writers to come up with a satisfying way again. How many times do you need a character that's on Dexter's tail that matters emotionally for them to get taken out by someone else? How many times do you need that before you're like, hey, you guys keep fucking this up? Like, these same writers that you have trust in fucked the Angel storyline up. Like, I don't understand how you could say these words. I want to reiterate, I enjoyed this season. It has potential, but there's some glaring stuff that's really troublesome. I will get to chat. I'm seeing that. When what did you say? You said nothing. What you said was, so this chat won't be addressed in this stream. Your first comment was that. What would you like answered immediately? How can I help you? I'm still holding out hope for Jonah Ripper as a New York Ripper. Jonah Mitchell as a New York Ripper. Apparently, Jonah Mitchell's dead. If you watch season 8, because the internet said so. Okay, thanks. No questions. Yeah, I'm going through this comment section for now. I don't know how much is left. A bit. It's not my fault you guys left small novels in the comment section. That was my first comment. I'm enjoying the stream. Okay. Yeah. Super chats get my attention because they're color. I don't know how to explain to you. I'm looking here and the super chats get my attention because it's color. Everything else is black here. When I'm done looking at this, which oddly enough, without showing you what I'm looking at, it's hard to explain that, at the moment, it's the comment section. And I'll get to the chat. I think that's although it wasn't as many big shocks and smart twists, I think the overall idea and setting of New York, Dexter having a new identity, the serial killer club, the Harrison's relationship, are all great things that can rival season 4 and 2. I do agree it's mid-tier. Side note, I really think they wasted Uma Thurman all the way till episode 9. I kind of thought, why did they cast her? And then she got some meaty scenes by the end. I just thought she was going to be way more iconic. Fucking bride, man. Yeah. Batista was not even considered to be Dexter's best man. That's a pretty funny. It's true. It's true. In the show's defense, when it came to fluff, it usually was Angel. Angel figured out that Brian was Brian, Rudy was Brian, or vice versa. Interesting that both Rudy and Brian, two members of Autopsy Stream, were the same character. Brian Moser's two names from Autopsy Stream, and Cody and Charlie. Is there a Sean? I think all members of Autopsy Stream are characters in Dexter. I never really thought of that. Huh. But Angel got fucked up with Lila in season 2. Dexter helped him out. I think Angel crashed on Dexter's couch one night too. They haven't really sold it very well, but they've covered their ass a bit. I really fucking hope Batista's I really fucking hope Batista's death has weight. I heard David Zayas said his contract isn't up, hinting that he could be a ghost lingering. How many ghosts do we want? How many fucking ghosts? Lingering to finally have that weight needed for the character, or else it's just another Doak situation, and that would suck. I agree. Really holding out hope that Batista's death, if they really are going to do that, will have a lasting consequence on Dexter, and having him as Dexter's conscience repenting guilt would be dope. I know everyone is talking about it feeling like it'll go till the ratings drop, but in all my research and all the interviews, such Clyde Phillips and Scott Reynolds have only ever said they plan for 3 seasons with maybe some room for a little more to flesh out that plan if they need to do the story justice. I have no reason to believe any of that. No reason to believe any of that. That, and combined with Michael C. Hall talking publicly about unsatisfying endings of season 8 New Blood, his enthusiasm at making Resurrection to give it a satisfying ending. I honestly don't think they're planning to run this into the ground. I think they're planning on it running 3 to 4 years and ending. Then maybe doing a Harrison show for Showtime, since they're advertising this as the Dexter universe. I do think, from everything I've read and seen, they are working hard to give us a just satisfying close to the Dexter main series, not to run for 9 seasons. Where are you reading these things is my question. And Cyrus, I agree. Clyde Phillips, if you told me Clyde Phillips were to stop, I've said this during that stream, Melissa Rosenberg is the name that I want back. The one of the head writers for seasons 1, 2, 3, 4. The person who has writing credits on season 1 finale, season 2 finale, season 4 finale. Melissa Rosenberg. Clyde Phillips gets a lot of credit for shit. Clyde Phillips gave you New Blood. Remember that. So I'll happily say I was wrong if they get Melissa Rosenberg back and Drek returns, but I don't know. Dexter can't have a full heel turn because all of the previous deaths that prevented him from going to prison would have meant nothing. Plus, this season they made a point to humanize him with relationship with Harrison. The proper ending would likely be him sacrificing his life or freedom for Harrison. Again, how many times? So him having been humanized with Rita and been humanized with Lumen and been humanized with Deb. How many times do you want Dexter to be humanized and have someone else die for it before it's like, yeah, maybe someone should just be like, hey, you're a fucking cancer, dude. I don't understand, like, do you think we will get the Trinity spin-off TV series? I don't know. That's a question for the bosses. If Showtime likes money, I would much, oddly enough, I'd much rather watch a Trinity prequel series rather than Original Sin. I do find it funny how people complain so much about member berries, but the vast majority of Dexter fans are begging for many of them as humanly possible. Wait, the vast majority of Dexter fans are begging for many of them as humanly as possible. As many of them? How many times have we humanized him, though? When he realized he loves Deb as his sister, when he falls in love with Rita, when he loves his father, Sam, as a close friend, there isn't much consequence to him as character and development of sorts. Agreed. I love humanizing him, sure. But what does it mean? Because we humanize him, then those people die, and then he just goes back to killing people again. Like, oh, that was weird. It's like humanization for Dexter is like a cold. He has it for a little bit, then kind of shakes it off. Hot take, Ghost Harry sucks. He just exists to tell us shit we already know. I said that earlier. It's no different than shows having therapists as like a shortcut to giving us the character's emotions. Honestly, if they were going to turn him heel, it would have been at the end of season 4 with Rita getting killed. They've got to do something. And having him just kill and kill and kill and kill. Some people enjoy that. I don't know. They keep eliminating their choices, and I'm confused. I definitely would love to see Dexter become the antagonist, and I think that might be the route they're going. In seasons 1 through 4, they nailed the tonal balance of Dex being an anti-hero because of his evil actions being a killer, his life would forever get punished for it. I can see those same people balancing Dexter's deeper antagonist route, leading to his capture this series. Could listen to you talk about Dexter for hours. Well, stick around. Dexter has luck on his side. He won't be caught unless he turns himself in. This is why Rita should return as his conscience to give him that push. How many ghosts do we maybe we just have Dexter checked into a mental facility and you can have a show filled with 20 actors and they're all just ghost characters? Like Dexter's in a rubber room just talking to all of the ghosts that he's caused their death of. And I realize at least 1% of you that hear this were like, That's actually a good idea. That's an awful idea. Uh, I think they're aiming for a hero type, vigilante type, because we wanted Dexter and Harrison united. Letting the landlord go with a warning was maybe wasn't it? No, it wasn't a warning. Angel had got there, and Dexter cut him loose because he was interrupted. It was not, and was it not Dexter's entire premise, that story? And why is Dexter taking blood slides as a potential issue? I mean, the story can develop this later, but as it was left a bunch of New York police detectives, officers learn of this secret serial killer's museum. It isn't an evidence room where they logged all evidence. Maybe the wheelchair officer we did not see yet was the one working with Frater and connected Leon with the memorabilia? Yeah. Hey, I mean, television is just a different variation of visual storytelling. You, the first season is complete. To talk about something and not show it is kind of odd. I guess they could do in season 2, have that be a flashback where they, I don't know. Definitely felt some disappointment setting in as the Suicide Squad got squashed so easy. Eh. Do you think they were trying to normalize Claudette by showing us her dancing? It's like, look, she can have fun and be normal. She's definitely going to be around for the whole series, I believe. Yeah, all right. It needs work. I'm not completely against it. Anything with a certain amount of work can work. I mean, fuck, if he told me before this season started that, I'd be like loving Harrison as a character. I'd be like, fuck you. So I don't know. Maybe they bring back Ghost Rita, and I'm all for it. So, you know, anything on its face has a certain sound to it, but it's in the execution. Like, I could say something like, oh, the reason that they had Peter Dinklage is because he's literally a small man playing a billionaire. And so visually that's used to be like a juxtaposition on just how small his character really is. Meanwhile, it's just the dude's ultra popular and he's like gold for R-rated television. But you know, I'm not giving the writers any of that credit. But a lot of that stuff seems to be uttered by a lot of hardcore Dexter fans. And I'm of the mindset, don't do their homework for them. Don't give them credit for shit that they're not even trying for. He's a little man with all the money in the world to protect him. His mask fell completely off when he was in deep shit. Do you think Wallace will notice the Bay Harbor Butcher slides are gone? I could see possible ending where she actually takes his side, as Dexter has essentially done the police's work for them multiple times and taken out FBI's most wanted. That would go against what we know of her character. Like the way she has like the fucking rules, and I don't know. There were some times where Harrison was like, I don't want to tell you anything. And she's like, I'm not here to produce whatever, you know, Penal Code 107.9. Jacob is right. They should have started with him killing Dokes. You was a decent series. I've seen that a couple of times. And now we got a couple of ranking you. If we're entertaining a villain Dexter route, I think a good opening riff between Dexter and Harrison would be Dexter using Harrison's knowledge of a modern police/investigative tactic to keep up with the times and hide his kills with perfection. Maybe Harrison finds some moral complication with feeling like he, in a way, is helping with these murders, however indirectly, and it causes tension and drama with the two. I think it could be a good start of a deteriorating relationship between the two. Maybe Dexter's old tricks aren't holding up so well to a modern technology, and he's getting desperate, and Harrison isn't giving him the information he needs, spitballing, but that could be a good use of Harrison's character direction with his degree. I'm not sure if I would 100% enjoy Harrison being an opposite foil to Dexter in terms of taking the moral high ground, while Dexter moves further into an antagonist role, but there could be some really good dynamics there. Honestly, both directions are interesting to me. A father-son killer duo, or the son rising above his inheritance and bringing justice to his father. I could see Harrison doing things the right way and paying, getting taken out, having that be the thing where Dexter ultimately decides all of this needs to stop. On its surface, it doesn't sound great. I get that. But if at some point Dexter stops and says, wow, no matter what I do, people are going to die. And it seems like anything I'm doing, the people closest to me are dying. Maybe I need to stop. I don't know. But I don't know where I watched some of You season 1, and I just it felt like, I don't know. It felt lesser to Dexter. His brother was there because it was the same table. You guys sound like haters who half the references and just complain. What? You guys sound like haters who half the references and just complain. Is there a word missing there? Who half the references. Hmm? Sure. The New York Ripper was active, though. He still calls victims' families, remember? Yeah, yeah. I don't know what that's. New York Ripper's active, though. He still calls victims' families, remember? Yeah, that was in the college scene where Wallace was playing clips. But I don't think that makes the character a pressing matter. Moving forward, the New York Ripper, like, there's no activity. There's no killing activity. Anytime in a movie or a show or something like, I think the term Chekhov's gun was used in reference to New York Ripper. Chekhov's gun is not exactly what, like. I don't think it was used as a deliberate, 1-to-1. But the Chekhov's gun is, if you show a loaded gun, it needs to be fired. At no point do they show the New York Ripper as currently active. So throughout the show, this is him, this is things he's done in the past, this is his weapon, it's being hung up. If he's currently active, why would his weapon be on a museum wall? So it's not exactly a similar comparison to call the New York Ripper a Chekhov's gun, because the New York Ripper was never a loaded weapon. It was just a character that never got caught, not active, a character out of practice, a retired character, whatever you want to say. But at no point did you witness the New York Ripper as an active threat. So I don't think this show owes us anything as far as, taking him out or resolving that thing. any more so than, I need to know what's going to happen with those fucking cat trophy things from Blessing's family, or what's Elsa's son doing with the fucking with the chest thing that he's getting from the walls. There's some things that are fluff, some are a little extreme, but I don't think the New York Ripper thing is active or pressing. So, like, I get it. I get the idea of wanting the New York Ripper to be like this great big thing, but again, like, I'll use someone else's logic in this scenario. The show's called Dexter Resurrection. Why are we so concerned with New York Ripper? We know it's Don Frampt. We don't know what that person looks like. I don't know why they need to be active. Like, why they would need an entire full season arc. But on its face, I need to be won over by it. Again, when I saw the trailer for Resurrection Season 1, I thought the serial killer fight club thing was dumb. It warmed to me relatively quickly. So I certainly can be won over on the New York Ripper thing, but I don't understand why it's considered such a pressing matter. And like, it needs to be season 2. Season 2 needs to be the New York Ripper. I don't have that mindset. I frankly, I don't understand. I see what you're saying about the bad guy needs to pay for all the damage they caused, but Tony Soprano and Walter White were just evil in the end and took out whoever they needed to feed their purpose. Dexter, on the other hand, I think of more like the Punisher. You root for them because they are taking out the trash for the most part. Yeah, a couple of innocents happen to get killed in their processes, but the most part, they're taking people who need to be taken out. So, I am good if Dexter gets to sail off into the sunset. Season as a whole is a 9 for me. Episode 10 is an 8. Also, Season 2 needs to make a time jump since Resurrection came out in 2025, but was set in 2022. Yeah. Nobody talks about how Harrison is kind of 16 years old. I don't want to think about that, but if the series is as old as it's been on television, Harrison should be no older than 17. There's some things that, I'm happy to look the other way and have them explain away, but Harrison's not supposed to be a college-age kid. Maybe I missed the purpose of this in the finale, but what was the attention to Detective Oliva's sleeve length? They made a point to put a reminder of Wallace noticing it in a previous episode of Previously on Dexter montage, and Wallace mentions it before they even get to the gala. Did his sleeve mean absolutely anything in the story? No. Also, Harrison's friend from the hotel, what is the point of her character ultimately? She had a son that got sick because of the slumlord, which in the end almost led to Dexter getting caught by Batista. That seems to be the only purpose for the character. She's just inconsequential now. There are a couple of characters like that. Again, you could file that under the fluff category. The sleeve thing kind of goes further into the why have her dance? Like, I don't know. Like, again, it seemed like they were making her character like autism coded, but only to like not do that by the end. I don't know. Shit, if that dummy thinks Charles and Cody are Dexter haters, I must be a mega hater. Which also possible. That take is silly. Not everyone Dexter has killed had to go. Yep. That sounds like what they were trying to do in New Blood, with Dexter having a realization that Harrison wouldn't be free while he was still alive. Season 4 ending would have been too open-ended to work. I'm down for Ghost Rita, to be fair. Hot take, that shouldn't be one. There's nowhere for his character to go because its narrative endpoint ended with season 4. I don't disagree with that. They've been adding small stuff from the books in each show, but the first season follows the books the most, minus the paranormal aspects. The books are enjoyable if you want to experience all the details that are missing from the show. They did Batista wrong, and the dance is stupid. I don't care for the Detective Wallace's character. I like both of your channels because you guys voice the same issues I have. Nice. Also, the first season was filmed mainly in different parts of LA. Not too many Florida scenes. As a person who lives in California, it was nice seeing places I've been. All of the Dexter stuff, that like the second unit stuff is Miami. Most of Dexter was filmed in LA. Brian Moser was a serial killer. Can't compare that to Batista Maria Dokes. Some of these I don't understand the reference. That's my fault, I guess. I think Dexter just went for the file that said active. The file for Neo Gripper said farm for some reason. Oh. We barely saw Blessing beyond episode 5 or so. Nitpicking about him seems silly. There's always character like him in Dexter for the most part, not even a blip on the radar, in my opinion. Yeah, so you'll understand my frustration when someone says, he's the New York Ripper. Yes. Rooting for John Cena isn't rewarding. I laughed so hard. Also, I like to see Angela back, too. I really liked her actor. Oh, we're almost caught up. Okay, the song thing, you guys are driving me nuckin' futs. She just likes the song a lot. Yep, it helps her focus too. She just likes it. That's all, guys. You're digging way too deep and you missed it right there on the surface. And then I became a snob. In visual media, all things done have some sort of purpose. We only truly need to associate that song with her once to get that she digs it. But what they do is essentially is an essential leitmotif on how the song is thematically used. A running gag is one thing, but when you deviate so hard, it ends up being more. When you deviate so hard, it ends up being none of all of it. Again, it isn't that big a deal, just kind of an eye roll moment that could have happened earlier in the season, just odd timing is all. Yeah. It's not like it was one thing. Multiple times she puts her headphones on and that song is on to focus. I agree. It's not that big a deal. There are times where we say things to be funny, but legitimately, it's a deviation from what we've established with that character and the leitmotif. Oh God, some of you guys' takes are terrible, like how he reacted when he died talking about Prater, like you guys are trying to be edgy about your takes because when you're dying, I think that will show a different side of the fact that someone got murdered on his property didn't freak him out. But then he's dying, you don't want him to beg, and then the whole past 15 minutes. Can you incorporate, if not periods, commas? The whole past 15 minutes before then, it takes our just trying to be different than the actual outcome that you watched. That was one sentence? Oh my God, some of you guys' takes are terrible, like how he reacted when he died, talking about Prater, like you are trying to be edgy about your takes because when you're dying, I think that will show a different side of you. The fact that someone got murdered on his property didn't freak him out, but then he is dying, you don't want him to beg, and then the whole past 15 minutes before, then it takes are just trying to be different than actual outcome that you watched. What? What the literal fuck are you saying? New Blood overall is better than Resurrection. Don't know if I agree with that, but my brain hurts. My brain hurts. If Quinn gets killed in season 2, that would be way worse than Batista not with us anymore. And hey, an episode could be called Batman Meets Robin. Let's go, Quinn. You could team up with Dexter. I guess I could be sold on that. So there it was. Me reading comments or your takes. The song was shown as part of her obsessiveness and maybe a sense of failure with the Ripper. After the dance, it will mean the exact opposite for her. It's just a nice little touch for her character. Sure. I don't know how. I don't know how this became this much of a topic to discuss. If you think that I think that the show is not perfect because of the dance number, you're wrong. There are there are different moments that are far more important to me than the dance number. It's fluff. I don't know. There's some things that, the fact that Angel doesn't end up being really that important thus far. Throughout episode 10, Angel's death doesn't really matter. That's far more pressing a matter to me than the dance number or the ringtone. Like that I didn't bring up either, but I think Cody brought it up. It's silly. If it made you laugh, great. I don't know if the tone of episode 10 needed laughter, but sure. Am I the only one who thinks Quinn is a dipshit? I don't get the love for him at all. Yeah, they bailed on having him be Dexter's nemesis on season 5 anyway. In your mind, CP, how do you see the show / series ending? What would be the perfect ending for the character in your mind? Does he die or does he go to prison, get caught? Am I responsible for you asking me, the audience member, or me, creative? Because I think there's a way that you can milk that show if you want to keep making that show. For me, I think it's I don't know. We're running out of characters for like there to be an ending that feels earned. We're running out of it. Definitely not the only one. I don't want to see him going forward outside of cameos at most. Both. So as creative, as someone who, let's say, for the sake of argument, I'm working in the writers' team, and if the show keeps going, I make more money. As that end, I make Dexter get arrested at some point. Make it important. Have something be where Harrison's held hostage, and someone says, either you turn yourself in or I'm going to shoot your son. And Dexter turns himself in. And like that's the end of the series. But moving forward, you have Dexter and max security penitentiary. But it becomes like a Silence of the Lambs thing, where Harrison gets to go and visit his father, and it's this new take on the Dexter character, and Harrison kind of is the Clarice of the show, asking Dex for help. And there are like CIA or FBI that like kind of green light the ability to use Dexter's help with solving some of these cases, and in some instances they take not proper justice routes to eliminate some of these threats. And that's something you can just keep going, having Dexter behind bars, but sort of helping or being some sort of asset to one of those 3-letter agencies. As far as me, the audience member, has something similar. It's got to be an important character that he makes a decision to do something. I think Cody and I brought it up last time. He's got to sacrifice the first rule of the code to benefit the second rule of the code. He needs to turn himself in so that someone innocent doesn't get hurt. Not exactly boring. It would need some work, but I don't know. Like, this is why I get frustrated. You know, Angel should have been the one to take him down. Harrison, you've kind of already teased us with Harrison shooting him. I don't know. I guess maybe there's a way you can make that happen again. But you have Dexter grow by realizing, rule number 1 is don't get caught, but rule number 2 is no one innocent should die. Well, maybe I need to get caught so that, I have some like trolley problem thing where Dexter's the one and like there's a fucking family of 5 that need to survive, and the only way they survive is him turning himself in or some shit. I don't know. I don't know. I with no time to think of it, I don't know. I'm watching the series for the first time, but the entire show has been spoiled for me. Oh. In season 3 now, my take is I hate Lila. Not sure if that's hot. She's hot. You won't see Lila ever again. Spoiler, but she was just season 2's temptress. It's not that spicy. Get back to me on Lila after you've caught up, because her character is, I would assume, in the top half of like, whether they be villains or police or whatever. I think she's in the top half of characters that, lasted more than 2 or 3 episodes. Was about to say Dexter becomes like Hannibal Lecter type character. I think that's something where you can have like this infinite, you can go 10 seasons on that, because Dexter's behind bars and you have some sort of thing where they work it out where it's like, all right, we're not going to, we know where you are. We need your help. And here's some more morally gray things that we need justice. We need to stop this person. Help. And, we'll give you free yard time. Like something that makes it make sense. Or every now and again, they set him free, but like they're watching him. You can kind of reset the rules that way. Masuka is a better cop than Quinn. I think Harrison is that character, to be honest. What parent wouldn't be sacrificing anything for their child? When viewers and creators think of better ideas in the writer's room. I'm telling you, Melissa Rosenberg, I don't know if it's because she made like a ridiculous amount of money writing for Twilight after that. I would go knocking on her door. Hi, make the characters feel fuller dramatically again, please. Thank you. That would be kind of sad, especially for Michael C. Hall, if their idea of doing it right this time is making this till the teat runs dry again. Yeah. I think the show would have worked if it was 4 seasons. The events of season 2, 4 was season 3, 3 was season 2. But in the new season 4, carry over the baby and have Dokes bring in Dexter. I don't hate that. How is Dexter going to prison different to Harrison killing him? Both terrible, no? If I'm receiving paychecks, if Dexter keeps going, I'm still receiving paychecks if Dexter's in prison. I specified. Am I answering this as someone who could benefit financially from this, or as someone who's watching and wants to be fulfilled as a audience member? Because one of them is a little less sincere than the other. I think there's a way that you can kind of make it sort of fresh and buy yourself a couple of years of 3 or 4 seasons extra. Read that as 40 extra paychecks. Do you think it's possible that Quinn is the one to take Dexter down? With some work, possibly. maybe they build Quinn up in season 2 of Resurrection to take Dexter into custody in Scream 3, season 3. Yeah, with work, sure. Lila was a great antagonist. I hate her, but that is kind of a compliment to the writing. I, should I tell you who wrote some of season 2? Who wrote the finale to season 2? If you're thinking it's Melissa Rosenberg, you're right. What are your thoughts on the 28 years later Bone Temple trailer? Nervous. I not very excited. I now know why it's coming out in January. There's a movie that I watched that premieres at Fantastic Fest that I'm not allowed to talk about just yet, but not a great big deal, but it's a cheaply made movie, but kind of shocked me at how well. Let me not talk myself into a corner. Problem I have with Quinn taking down Dexter is that it doesn't even make sense. Right now it doesn't. Right. Since we have already sort of established previously that Quinn is just kind of okay with Dexter killing. Yeah, I think with work, with, reapproaching that subject, you could possibly do that. But it needs work. It would be kind of interesting if they actually end up building Masuka up to be the one to take down Dexter, another CSI instead of a cop. With work, yes. Unless we just outright retcon Quinn. Also possible. You think it's possible that Dexter Original Sins still could happen maybe after they finish season 2 of Resurrection? I don't see any reason why they should. Like, if it's a thing of like just making sure those actors work, just have them do flashbacks. Like, why would you do a sequel to a prequel when there is plenty of interest in the sequel to the original? I just, like, you're like writing yourself into like boxes. No one's really talking about Original Sin. Season 1, people aren't talking about Original Sin season 1 because Resurrection exists. I think if it's just, I want more Dexter, like, you're going to saturate the market. I think as long as things are doing well and Michael C. Hall and them are on board to do more, you don't want to saturate the market with like the prequel shit. Dexter doesn't need to be 20 episodes a year, 30 years ago and now. Just go back to 12 episodes and do Resurrection at 12 a year is my opinion, my humble opinion. Okay, so I'm going to bid you a farewell, adieu. There's, again, in case you missed it in the beginning, there's Dexter content that's coming out, rankings, tier lists, things like that. But I've begun work for Fantastic Fest, so it'll be kind of scattershot. There'll be something that seems topical and then something that doesn't. If you're interested in either, perhaps both, subscribe, stick around for the next couple of weeks at the very least. A lot of Dexter content still yet to come out on this channel. There's older long-form videos where I discussed seasons 5 and 6. The season 7 one might come out after Halloween, and then I'll probably work my way back up to Resurrection. And there's other movie content here. Let me know down below how you feel with anything that was said here. Some of your hot takes on Resurrection and how it compares to the rest of Dexter. I think it's I think it's the without rewatching it, I think it's fine. We'll see how I feel after everything is. I don't know, when I rewatch it again without all the hype, but I think it's fine. And you'll see when my ranking comes out.